This is EntheoVision, in association with the Thank You Plant Medicine movement, raising awareness to bring you research, news, and real-life insights on plant medicines and their potential for your future. My name's Carol Talbot, and in this episode, Ketamine Therapy, the good, the bad, and the ugly. How a lack of fulfillment led to making the documentary Reality of Truth. And finally, I'll be sharing some additional, probably lesser known information on ketamine. Chronic pain syndrome, treatment-resistant depression, post-traumatic stress disorder. There's been a lot of media coverage flouting ketamine for these kinds of mental health challenges. And in 2019, ketamine was granted breakthrough therapy designation by the FDA. An analysis of 9 clinical trials of patients with major depression or bipolar disorder revealed that following a single infusion of ketamine, patients experienced relief from symptoms for up to 10 days. Now, this seems too good to be true. So I spoke to Julie Mirer. Julia has a medical degree, and as she went further into allopathic medicine, realized that something was missing. She's now a psychedelic consultant and the Chief Education Officer for Mr. Psychedelic Law. And this is what she had to say about ketamine therapy and her concerns.
So in the 1960s, it initially came out as an anesthetic, and it was used this way for a very long time. So we have very good safety data on it. But only in recent years did the FDA approve ketamine therapy as breakthrough therapy designation, which means that they've been using it for kind of off-label uses for PTSD and depression. And it has been, because of the fact that it's been around for so long, we have the safety data on it. We know that it's technically safe, but now that we're using it for an off-label use, the question is, what is the safety considering? Is it looking at, is the patient alive? Or is it actually looking at the psychosocial concerns that come along with any kind of psychedelic therapy? Now, I say psychedelic therapy, but this is not a classic psychedelic. Classic psychedelics work on a particular serotonin system, and ketamine, you know, in my medical training, I remember it's considered a dirty drug because it hits so many receptors in so many different systems that we don't always know exactly what part of its effect is causing what kind of result. So the good thing about ketamine is that it is legal, and it is the one that we can use now for any kind of psychedelic assisted therapy. The unfortunate thing is that there isn't a lot of regulations on how it is to be administered, so there's a lot of variety. There's intravenous infusions that can be done, which are these very expensive, you know, $500 and up, often done by anesthesiologists. Then you have intramuscular and you have oral doses. Now, these intramuscular and oral doses in particular have been gaining popularity for use in the therapeutic setting with psychologists or psychiatrists. And what's amazing there is that, like other psychedelics, here's the part where it's really beneficial because it alleviates symptoms as severe as suicidal thoughts almost immediately. And this is what you keep hearing in all these, you know, advertisements and media like notifications that, oh my God, this is such an amazing thing. It will cure your symptoms. The caveat is that the same studies that are showing these incredible results with these symptoms are also showing that after 10 days, the symptoms return. Now, here's the concerning part. Imagine that you're a patient that was, you know, fed this belief that, oh my goodness, my symptoms are going to go away. And then they actually do. and you feel this amazing relief because you've suffered with these symptoms for decades. And now all of a sudden, 10 days later, your symptoms return. And unfortunately, the two options are go back for another treatment or do the work, to figure out why are these symptoms there. And when people have the burden of depression, the anxiety, all of these negative symptoms, it's very difficult to hear new information, such as, maybe change your diet, maybe sleep a little bit longer, set healthier boundaries with the people in your life. These are all things that, when you're depressed, it's really hard to digest this. The gift of ketamine, if the patient is properly informed beforehand and educated on what, that 10-day period really is, the benefit is that for 10 days, you don't have those symptoms, like the burden of the symptoms, and you're able to receive that new information. So there's like this golden window after any session, whether it be IV, intramuscular, or oral, within a 48-hour period. That's when ideally you get therapy, because you are more receptive to all of these things. And if you don't use that time wisely, you end up with these symptoms again, plus the added symptoms associated with the desperation and the hopelessness that comes when you thought the symptoms were gone and now they're back. And that's the sad part with the hype that is currently happening around ketamine.
So the good news is that ketamine therapy offers a 10-day golden window during which the patient can learn new coping skills and make lifestyle changes. With education, patients will know that although the symptoms will likely return and they may require another dose, the goal of treatment should be to maximize the time between doses.
My goal is really, if I could say anything to insurance companies, get behind ketamine research, because there's a doctor in Canada, she's also with the Canadian Psychedelic Association, Pamela Kriskow. She refers to ketamine as psychedelic scaffolding. The hype around research with psychedelics, it's here, it's happening, but ketamine is legal. There's a lot less barriers for research here. And if you can show that it's the education and the preparation before the experience, and then the integration through community and regular follow-up after the experience, that really creates the lasting results, the actual healing that we want to offer the patients, then you're ushering in this next wave of research, and it'll be that much easier, because all you'll have to do is plug in a different molecule and a different condition. But 80% of the work is around the experience. And if we can get that data out now, then we can pretty much ensure that this next wave will come in a responsible and ethical way.
As you heard, Julia's hope with the incredible work that she does is to avoid a wave of uninformed patients, so ketamine therapy, with the appropriate research, can help more and more people. According to Wikipedia, Mike Zapolin, better known as Zappy, is an American entrepreneur who's considered a pioneer in the domain name industry and has created many internet brand names. Now, Zappy is probably better known for creating the documentary Reality of Truth, which explores how to access true reality through plant medicine and meditation, and features actress Michelle Rodriguez as well as spiritual guru Deepak Chopra. I spoke to Zappy to find out how the documentary came about.
Yeah, I'm a classic case of, when I was younger, I tried psychedelics and I had a really good experience with them, but, I really wasn't doing it with any real intent. It was really just to be a young person and experiment. And it wasn't until later in life where I had really done everything that society told me to do, that in order to be totally fulfilled, they told me these are the steps you have to take. You have to go to school, make money, have a family, do all these things. And then you've reached the American dream. You're going to be totally happy and satisfied. And I was sitting there and I realized, wow, I just did all that, but I'm happy and I'm having great moments, but I'm not fulfilled. And that's a tough moment to come to when you're, maybe, in your 40s like I was. And I just didn't know what to do with that. It was kind of depressing to me. And I thought back to my psychedelic experiences. I thought, wow, I'm hearing about people going and sitting with a shaman and having that kind of experience in the jungle. And I wonder if I this time use these catalysts, these powerful, amazing plants, and could I do it with a different intent than I did when I was younger? Could I put the intent of, going inside, expanding my consciousness, you know, building my brain power, understanding who I am as what it maybe I'm even doing here, what this whole life is all about. And I decided that I needed to do that. At some point, I convinced myself that that was what I needed to do because I couldn't find it anywhere else. And so at that point, I decided that I was going to do ayahuasca and go sit with a shaman down in Peru. It looked like something really, amazing to do. But also I thought, this is it. If this doesn't work, I really don't know what to do. And luckily the universe, as it always does, it provides, and it, points you in directions that you don't even know. And I just started to talk to some of my friends about what I was going to do. And I thought to myself, because I'd always had production equipment around me, I'd done infomercials and, different TV advertising things. And I thought I should bring a camera with me and film what I'm doing. And then I could share it with other people, including just, my friends and my family and things like that. But let me bring a camera. And so as I had that concept and I was talking to people about what to do, I was introduced to Michelle Rodriguez, the actress from Fast and Furious, and she was in the same place as me. She was like, Zappy, I'm in the same moment as you. Like, I need to go to the jungle and do this. I do not, have a handle on what I'm supposed to be doing and what direction really, to take my life, other than just stay with the program, which isn't giving me that, deep awareness. And so she agreed to come. And, at that point, I said, oh, wow, I have the makings here of a really cool documentary, because I had a relationship with Deepak Chopra. I had talked to him in an interview about what the whole psychedelics and plant medicine was all about, for myself and for society. And he, in that conversation, he encouraged me to go explore, as he said, maybe you got to go stir it up in the pot and drink it. Maybe that's the only solution here for you. And if you can provide a vehicle like a documentary for other people to see that, then maybe you could really, do something useful. And I thought that was my challenge. And then finally, when the Reality of Truth documentary with Michelle Rodriguez and that trip happened, like, I couldn't get out of it. I put myself in like a position where I couldn't get out of it. And we headed down to the jungle. And I just said to myself the same thing that I say every time I do plant medicine, which is, rather than trying to get an answer to some question or figure out the exact thing I'm supposed to do, rather than that, I just kind of say to myself, I want to expand my consciousness. That's my only goal, is just to expand my consciousness, to trust nature, and to not take it too seriously either. And so we went down to Peru. Our first experience was at the top of a mountain, 17,000 feet. We drank San Pedro with a shaman at the top of the mountain. And as we walked down, this is in the Reality of Truth film, but as we walked down that mountain, we got to a resting point. Michelle Rodriguez had an experience that she describes as, 10 or 20 years of heavy therapy lifted off of her something she'd been carrying around her whole life, this like little chip on her shoulder, this anger, and it just she was able to release it in that moment. And it was like, wow, to see that transformation start to happen with her was in real time was really amazing. And so then 2 days later, we hiked down into the jungle in the rainforest, and we sat with a shaman and we drank ayahuasca. And in drinking ayahuasca with the group and myself and Michelle, that was another eye opener. That was another transformation that we all had, where we, I think the San Pedro kind of connected us to nature, back to nature. And then the ayahuasca in the jungle, that was, a really deep dive, as deep as I felt like I could ever probably get inside myself, meeting God, seeing the cosmic joke of the universe, just being able to ask questions and things. And this is, here it is, I'm having this incredibly powerful, high technology experience, and I'm in the jungle just sitting there, and all I've drank is this, plant that's 1 million years old. So that was a real eye opener for me, a life changer. That was my moment where, as I came out of that, I was like, thank you, plant medicine. Oh my God, like, thank you. You've just answered all of these questions for me and set me on a path that, I'll never be the same.
If you haven't watched Reality of Truth yet, I highly recommend that you do. And as a result of the documentary, Zappy is now often referred to as the psychedelic concierge to the stars, and is known for having pointed Lamar Odom in a new direction. More recently, he set up Mind Army to educate and advocate for the development of best practices for maximizing the psychedelic experience and creating positive outcomes, and to ensure every human being has the right to go inside their own mind for answers and healing. You can find out more at mindarmy.org. As a neuroscientist, author and psychedelic enthusiast, John C. Lilly clearly fits neatly into the archetype of the mad scientist. He was an avid explorer of the inner space, and even invented the wonderful sensory deprivation chambers filled with buoyant water, where you simply float and are totally supported by the water. If you haven't tried it, I recommend those sensory deprivation tanks. He frequently experimented with ketamine, and he said, while on ketamine, he said, I can open my eyes in this reality and dimly see the alternative reality. Then close my eyes and the alternate reality picks up. So on ketamine, you can tune your internal eyes. His writings gift us with a fascinating insight into the incredible power and also the very real dangers of a human mind immersed in the ketamine spaces. So a reminder to do your own research and to work with professionals. If you have a story to share about how plant medicine has transformed your life or involved in studies or research, then please send in your press release and information to press@thankyouplantmedicine.com, and one of the team will connect with you. I'm Carol Talbot for EntheoVision in association with the Thank You Plant Medicine movement. Remember, the generosity of the earth enriches our lives.